The myths of the Finno-Ugric peoples, particularly those of the Finnish tradition as recorded in the Kalevala, are epic tales deeply rooted in nature, magic, and the eternal struggle between creation and chaos. These stories, passed down through oral tradition, reveal a world where human effort, divine intervention, and cosmic forces are intricately intertwined. The gods, heroes, and shamans of these myths possess great power, yet are subject to the same frailties and limitations as mortals, constantly navigating the delicate balance between the physical and spiritual realms. At the heart of these myths is Väinämöinen, the wise and eternal shaman, whose creation of the world through song links the very essence of knowledge and culture to the birth of the cosmos. Alongside him stands Ilmarinen, the divine blacksmith, whose crafting of the magical Sampo, an endless source of prosperity, reveals both the power of creation and the inevitable limits of human endeavor. These figures and their stories embody the Finno-Ugric understanding of life cycles, of birth and death, abundance and loss, wisdom and folly. The tales of Lemminkainen's daring journey to the underworld and the tragic contest between Väinämöinen and the youthful Jukahainen showcase the constant interplay between life, death, and the transformative power of wisdom and love. These themes are echoed in the epic theft of the Sampo, where heroes collaborate to claim wealth, only to face the inevitable consequences of greed and the impermanence of fortune. Together, these myths explore the triadic relationships between creation, knowledge, and heroism, weaving a tapestry of interrelated forces that define both the cosmos and the human experience. In the world of the Finno-Ugric myths, nothing exists in isolation. Every act of creation, every pursuit of power or knowledge ripples outward, affecting the balance of all things. Väinämöinen, creator, sage, and protector of the Finnish people. In the time before the earth was shaped, before the rivers ran and the forests grew, Väinämöinen came into being. Born from the vast primordial waters, he carried within him the power of creation itself. As the world took form around him, it was his voice, strong and wise, that sang the earth into order. His words were more than mere sounds. They were the very fabric of creation, weaving the seas, the skies, and the soil. Through his wisdom, Väinämöinen shaped not only the land, but the destiny of his people. With his songs, he held the secrets of the world, for the magic of knowledge flowed through him like a river unending. The stars hung in the heavens at his command, and the spirits of the earth bent to his will. But it was not merely his power over creation that made him great. It was his understanding of how all things were bound together, each part of the world dependent on the next, like the strings of a cantle in perfect harmony. And so, Väinämöinen became more than a creator. He became the protector of his people, a shamanic hero who stood at the intersection of the mortal and the divine. He taught the Finnish tribes the songs of the earth, guiding them through the dangers of the wild and the unknown. His wisdom was their shield, his voice their sword, ensuring that their culture would not fade like whispers on the wind, but would endure through time, shaped by the same forces that had given birth to the stars. Yet even Väinämöinen knew that creation and wisdom alone could not sustain the world. It was through his acts of heroism, his defense of his people, that he completed the triad, for without protection, creation withers and wisdom fades. He stood as the bridge between these three forces: creation, knowledge, and protection, each dependent on the other, each stronger for their unity. The creation from the egg, the birth of the world. In the beginning, there was nothing but the endless heaving waters of the primal ocean. It stretched in all directions, without boundary or form, a great sea of potential waiting to be shaped. From this undivided chaos, a single bird, a duck, flew over the waters, searching for a place to rest. She flew on, her wings growing weary, until at last she came upon the knee of Väinämöinen, who floated in the vast expanse. The bird built her nest there, laying an egg, a single fragile vessel filled with the promise of all that was yet to be. But as the bird sat brooding over her egg, it slipped from her nest and fell into the dark waters below. The egg shattered, and from its broken pieces the world was born. From one fragment rose the arching sky, from another the solid earth. The yolk became the shining sun, the white the pale moon. All of the heavens and the earth sprang from this single egg, its division giving rise to the many, its breaking the source of all creation. What once was whole had now become many, and the undifferentiated ocean had given birth to form and order. Yet even as the world came into being, it remained bound to its origins, each part of creation connected to the others. The sky could not exist without the earth to frame it. The sun and moon chased each other across the heavens in eternal balance. And so, from a single egg, the world was made, its fragments forever interwoven, each part holding the memory of the whole. This is the nature of the world, the primal ocean of potential, the seed of creation within the egg, and the breaking apart that brings life. It is only through fragmentation that form arises, and yet within that form there remains a deep and abiding unity, a remembrance of the oneness from which all things were born. Lemminkainen's journey to Tuonela, death, resurrection, and the power of love. Lemminkainen, bold and headstrong, set out upon a quest that no mortal had yet accomplished, to catch the swan of Tuonela, the sacred bird that swam in the black waters of the underworld. His heart was filled with the fire of adventure, and no warnings could dissuade him. He knew the dangers that awaited in Tuonela, the land of the dead, but he strode forward, trusting in his own strength and courage. But Tuonela is a land where even the mightiest heroes fall. As Lemminkainen hunted the swan, a poisoned arrow, hidden by a dark hand, struck him down. He fell into the river of death, his body shattered and scattered by the currents of that dark place. His journey had led him not to glory, but to the cold embrace of death. Yet his story did not end there. Far away in the land of the living, Lemminkainen's mother, a woman of great love and greater power, felt the loss of her son like a knife through her heart. Refusing to accept his fate, she set out on her own journey, armed with nothing but her love and the magic that comes from such deep devotion. She searched for his broken body, gathering the pieces from the river, binding them together with her own hands. With each piece she found, she sang the songs of healing, and as her love flowed into the spell, life returned to her son. Lemminkainen rose again, brought back from the land of the dead by the power of his mother's love. Her magic was not born of power or skill alone. It was the force of life itself, the bond between mother and child that transcends even death. And so, Lemminkainen's journey became not only a tale of a failed quest, but a testament to the cycles of life and death, and to the unyielding strength of love that can restore what has been lost. For in this world, death is not the end. The journey does not cease at the gates of Tuonela. It is love, the love that heals, that binds together the broken, that brings life anew. Lemminkainen's mother stood as the embodiment of this truth, a force of nature in her own right, for through her, the cycle of death and rebirth was completed, and life triumphed once more. Ilmarinen, the great blacksmith, stood among the immortals as a master of creation, his hammer and anvil singing with each stroke. In the cold reaches of the sky, he forged wonders beyond the understanding of men. It was his hand that crafted the dome of the heavens and set the stars in their orbits. His skill was unmatched, for he held the power to shape reality itself. But there was one creation that surpassed all others, a thing of such mystery and power that it drew the envy of all who beheld it, the Sampo. At the request of the people of Pohjola, Ilmarinen set to work. From the depths of his forge, he brought forth the Sampo, a magical mill that ground out endless wealth. Flour, salt, and gold flowed from its turning. It was an object of unparalleled abundance, a source of prosperity for whoever controlled it. But though Ilmarinen could shape the world with his hands, he could not forge the fortunes of the heart. In return for the Sampo, Ilmarinen was promised the hand of the maiden of Pohjola. Yet even as he crafted the stars and wrought the Sampo, he could not craft love. His bride, cold as the iron he forged, brought no warmth to his heart. Though his skill in creation was unmatched, The great blacksmith could not mend the loneliness that gnawed at his soul. He had forged the Sampo, a treasure for the ages, but he had failed in his quest for love, his greatest creation turning to ashes in his grasp. Thus, Ilmarinen learned the bitter truth that mastery over the physical world does not grant mastery over the heart. His art could transform metal into magic, but it could not bring love, nor heal the wounds of a soul that longed for connection. And so, the triad was completed: creation, abundance, and failure, each linked to the other in the story of Ilmarinen's life. His genius brought wealth, but it could not fulfill the deeper needs of his spirit. In the cold lands of Pohjola, the Sampo spun endlessly, grinding out treasure and abundance for Louhi, the mistress of the north. But far away, in the lands of Kalevala, envy stirred in the hearts of men. Väinämöinen, Ilmarinen, and Lemminkainen, three of the greatest heroes of their time, gathered together, drawn by the power and wealth the Sampo promised. They spoke of freedom and fortune, of taking back what rightfully belonged to their people, for they knew that the Sampo held the key to prosperity beyond measure. Together, the three heroes set out on a perilous journey to steal the Sampo from Louhi's clutches. Each brought their unique skills to the task: Väinämöinen's wisdom, Ilmarinen's craftsmanship, and Lemminkainen's bravery. It was a quest born of collaboration, for they knew that no single hero could wrest the Sampo from the hands of the sorceress alone. Their path was fraught with danger, but their cause was just, or so they believed. Under the cover of night, they stole into Pohjola, and with great cunning, they seized the Sampo. But as they made their escape across the sea, Louhi rose in her fury. The sky darkened, the winds howled, and the waters churned. In the ensuing battle, the Sampo slipped from their grasp, tumbling into the depths of the sea, shattered into fragments. The heroes returned to Kalevala, their quest both triumphant and tragic. Though they had stolen the Sampo, the prize was lost. Yet even in its shattering, the Sampo's fragments brought blessings. Though not the boundless wealth they had sought, the land still prospered from the pieces that remained. The triad here was clear: collaboration led to theft, but in the end loss tempered their triumph. The three heroes, bound by their shared quest, found that even the greatest efforts cannot always yield lasting success. The Sampo's destruction was a reminder that wealth, like all things in life, is fleeting, and that even in loss, fragments of hope and prosperity may endure. Far to the north, where the forests stretched long and silent, a young man named Youkahainen rode out to meet Väinämöinen. Filled with youthful pride and ambition, Youkahainen had heard tales of the old sage's wisdom, and his heart burned with the desire to prove himself the greater. He challenged Väinämöinen to a contest, not of swords or strength, but of song. For in that ancient land, words held power, and through song one could shape the very fabric of reality. Youkahainen's voice rang out over the land, sharp and bold, as he sang of his deeds and his prowess. But Väinämöinen, wise in the ways of the world, did not rise to the challenge immediately. He waited, listening, for he knew that arrogance would reveal its own weaknesses. And when Youkahainen's song was done, Väinämöinen sang in return. But his was not a song of boasting or bluster. His voice called forth the deep wisdom of the ages, the songs of creation and the earth itself. His words were woven with magic, and as he sang, the ground shifted, the trees bent, and the waters trembled. Youkahainen, realizing too late the depth of his folly, found himself sinking into the earth, swallowed by the very land he had sought to command. Desperate, he begged for mercy, offering his most precious gifts. But it was only when he pledged his sister Aino as a bride for Väinämöinen that the old sage relented, releasing the young man from his fate. But the contest had changed Youkahainen, his arrogance stripped away, replaced by the bitter taste of defeat. He had sought to prove himself through song, but instead he had been humbled, transformed by the experience into a wiser, though more sorrowful man. The triad here reveals itself in the interplay between wisdom, arrogance, and transformation. Väinämöinen's ancient knowledge and calm patience triumphed over Youkahainen's youthful arrogance. But this victory led not only to Jukahainen's defeat, but to his transformation. In that defeat lay the seeds of change, for Jukahainen, though humbled, would carry the lessons of that day with him, forever altered by his encounter with the great sage. In reflecting upon these first 6 myths of Finnish tradition, a recurring theme emerges: the intricate interdependence of forces, often expressed in triads, that shape both the cosmos and the human experience. Each story reveals a delicate balance, where creation, wisdom, love and collaboration work in concert with destruction, failure, arrogance, and loss. These dualities do not oppose one another. Rather, they coexist and, through their tension, allow growth, transformation, and the continuation of life. Väinämöinen, as the creator, sage, and protector, embodies the triad of creation, wisdom, and heroism. His role in shaping and preserving Finnish culture shows that no single force is sufficient on its own. Only through the combination of these elements does culture thrive. Likewise, the creation from the egg teaches that the breaking of unity is necessary for diversity to arise. The world is born through fragmentation, reminding us that order and complexity stem from chaos and division, not in spite of it. Lemminkainen's journey to Tuonela reflects the power of maternal love, which binds together life and death, showing that even in the face of mortality, love can restore and renew. His quest, death, and resurrection are not solitary events, but part of a greater cycle of connection and regeneration, which highlights the importance of human bonds in overcoming the inevitable trials of life. In the story of Ilmarinen, the blacksmith's unmatched craftsmanship brings prosperity, but his failures in personal relationships serve as a poignant reminder that human endeavor is always limited. Even the most successful creators must face the unpredictability of life, where triumph in one domain may be met with failure in another. The theft of the Sampo underscores the fragility of collaboration and the impermanence of wealth. Though the heroes work together to claim the Sampo's abundance, they ultimately experience loss. Yet even in their failure, they discover that fragments of prosperity remain, reflecting that success and defeat are intertwined, with remnants of value persisting even after destruction. Finally, in the song contest between Väinämöinen and Jukahainen, the triad of wisdom, arrogance, and transformation unfolds. Jukahainen's arrogance leads to his downfall, but his defeat becomes the catalyst for transformation, illustrating that failure often teaches humility and fosters wisdom. Väinämöinen's victory is not merely a demonstration of his superior knowledge, but a reflection of the power of restraint, patience, and experience. Across these myths, we see that creation and destruction, success and failure, wisdom and transformation are not separate forces, but interwoven elements that define both the cosmic order and human existence. In the world of the Finno-Ugric myths, life is shaped by these dynamic, ever-shifting relationships, where no triumph is absolute and no loss is total. Instead, the greatest lessons come from the interplay of these forces, reminding us that in every ending there lies the seed of a new beginning.